Good morning. Today on Spotlight, an update on Grow Michigan as it winds down its first phase and gears up for its next economic chapter. Russell Long, COO, will join us. And later, Brad Coulter and Carrie Mitchell of Matrix Human Services will provide valuable information on growing Detroit neighborhoods and protecting Southeast Michigan's safety net. It's Sunday, December the 15th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Grow Michigan, bring us up to date. It was created in 2012, got a big chunk of money from the Michigan Strategic Fund, as well as banks. The two sort of merged together and said, we're going to create this. For the person that doesn't know, in a nutshell, what's Grow Michigan?
Grow Michigan provides second-tier debt to businesses to sustain or to grow jobs in Michigan.
Mm-hmm. They are not the primary one.
Not the primary.
Yeah, there's usually a big lender involved,
right.
And then there's that stopgap.
Right. We work with the senior lenders who, in most cases, by the time we get involved, they can't quite get there with their loan package based on collateral for the businesses. So we actually lend to stories. So it's more of a cash flow lending based on a story. If the business has a good story and good prospects going forward, then we'll come in that $1 to $5 million range for a short period of time until the business gets to where it needs to be, and then the senior will take us out.
Russ, how important is having that good story?
Well, it's very important. It's the basis for our loan. The senior lender can't quite get there. Mm-hmm. And so we come in to fill that gap in the capital structure to allow them to execute on a plan to grow both jobs and grow the business, and then the senior will take us out.
Are most of the companies you dealt with already in existence and they're just trying to expand, or are some of them startups?
Not often are they startups, on occasion, but most of the companies are in existence, and then they have a plan either to diversify into a new area, mm-hmm. Or expand their existing footprint and increase the jobs in Michigan. And that's the basis for the mission statement for our fund.
All right. Grow Michigan 1, the first phase of it, is winding down at the end of this year. You can't lend out any more money. Your commitments have already been made for this first phase, correct?
Right, that's correct.
All right.
So
you're starting up Grow Michigan 2. There will be a Grow Michigan 2 for sure?
There will be a Grow Michigan 2. It's been approved by the state. Mm-hmm. We're in the process of raising funds for Grow Michigan 2. And it'll just be a pretty straightforward transition. We'll finish off the commitments we have for Grow Michigan 1, mm-hmm. and then moving into 2020, Grow Michigan 2 will begin lending.
Without tooting your own horn, maybe I'll toot it for you. Does that mean that because Grow Michigan 1 was almost sort of like an experiment, and you obviously passed the test because now you have the Michigan Strategic Fund as well as banks saying, we need another phase of this.
The success of the first fund led them to want to do another fund. The charter only allowed it to go the 5 years plus an extension, and there's still a need for this product in order to sustain and or grow jobs in Michigan.
Step back for a second. How do you measure how did you measure the success of 1 to know that you needed 2?
Well, in 1 we made 33 investments in various companies, uh-huh. and grew about 3,500 jobs with the first fund. Uh-huh. We loaned about $60 million.
Big chunk of money.
As the sub-debt piece, and supported about $300 million in senior lending.
Great. What are your goals for Grow Michigan 2?
Similar to Grow Michigan 1. It's going to be about a $50 million fund. We are maxed out. We can only loan 10% of whatever we raise. So if it's a $50 million fund, our max loan is $5 million. But we want to accomplish what we've done so far. Mm-hmm. The first fund was a success. We took over midstream in the first fund, and we've done very well since we've taken over. And so we're going to move right into, the state has approved it, we'll move right into Grow 2.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, I want to drill down some more on Grow Michigan 2. Sure. If people are interested, whether or not they can still have a chance to get into it, or whether or not the door is closed yet. We'll find out. right after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Spotlight. All right, gearing up on Grow Michigan 2. Door is still open for people to get involved?
Absolutely. We're just at the beginning of Grow 2.
So this is the best time to make a pitch.
It'll still be another 5-year run with the possibility of two-year extensions. So we're just getting started. We have a little bit of a pipeline left from Grow 1, and whatever we don't get done by year end, we'll move those companies toward Grow 2.
Same banks, or are you reaching out to new banks?
We are reaching out to new banks. We've actually expanded. We have a couple of new banks on board, and the existing banks, they're all going through their process, year-end process, to determine how much they're going to invest, or if they're going to invest in Grow 1. But we seem to have a pretty good feel that most of the banks that were in Grow 1 will be in Grow 2.
What did the banks tell you they get out of this, Russ?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, they get the ability to make a loan they wouldn't otherwise be able to make without the Grow piece, because they can't get there and the company needs more money. So without Grow's involvement, they wouldn't be able to make that loan. And two, they're involved, Grow's mission statement, it gives them the ability to get community redevelopment credits.
I was just going to ask about that, right?
Community
And which by law, I guess, and by government, banks need that to be able to kind of operate to show that you aren't just hauling in money, that you're also taking some of that money, turning it around, reinvesting it in your cities, in your communities.
In the communities, that's correct. And that's an important piece for the senior lenders.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a footprint all over the state. And a lot of our loans are in outskirts or not within the cities. They're in rural areas, which gives them get the credits in those areas.
Russ, can you give us an example of a company that needed your help, they got it, and what it meant to them?
Sure. Most of the companies that we have done business with in the first fund, they only actually use the money for 3 years, right around 3 years. And we give them 5-year loans. So the company executes on a plan. They grow their revenue, they increase the jobs in Michigan, and then the senior lender usually takes us out. It doesn't go the full term of 5 years. So we're just there.
Once they know they've gotten a good, strong footing.
Right. Then the senior lender can loan on that last piece that they couldn't in the beginning.
Grow Michigan started under the Rick Snyder administration.
It did.
Republican governor. You're now still gearing up for phase 2 under Gretchen Whitmer, Democratic governor. In this very partisan world, you're probably one of those few examples of something that both D's and R's have said, this is good for Michigan and we need it.
Right. This is definitely a product that the Michigan businesses need. The results of the first fund were such that there was no problem in the state coming into the second fund.
Sure. You also wear a hat with O'Keefe, which
I do.
Does a lot of consulting, helps companies with their turnaround, all sorts of other things. You're constantly with your analysts watching the economy. Here we are, one of those states that sits on an international border. Trade war, some would say, in full bloom. As you look at the economic climate, what are you and the guys and the gals back in the office saying in the midst of trying to do a Grow Michigan too?
If I had that perfect crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. But there are some kinks in the armor. We kind of feel, the businesses we're talking to, we kind of feel like could potentially be maybe a slight correction in 2020.
Especially with a lot of manufacturing business.
A lot of manufacturing business. So we keep a very close eye on that. And as part of our job with Grow Michigan, we monitor the businesses that we're loaning to very closely.
All right, very good. All right, keep us up to date on this. You're just starting Grow Michigan too. We got another, 4 years and some odd months to keep track of all that you're doing. And overall, this has been very good for this state.
It has. Thanks for having me, Chuck.
All right, Russ. Happy holidays to you and your family.
as well.
All right. And when we come back, we'll turn our attention to Matrix Human Services and how they're providing that safety net for our communities. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Brad Coulter and Carrie Mitchell of Matrix Human Services. Welcome to Spotlight.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah. As we kind of make this transition from talking about business and growing business in Michigan to what happens 365 days a year, and you oftentimes don't hear about the things that the two of you are really involved in, and that's making sure that our neighborhoods and our communities continue to grow and continue to provide the services that are so sorely needed that make us a good city and a good society, correct?
Well, and that's really where we operate. I mean, we're both proud to be with an organization that since 1906 has been working at the grassroots level in Detroit.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. It is
13 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's called Matrix Human Services
Matrix
now,
Human Services.
Way back when was called what?
The League of Catholic Women.
Okay.
So we were originally founded by Father Weineman as a settlement house for immigrant women coming to the country and evolved from there. We've always been involved with children, with teens and adults, and that's still where we operate. So
The name change came in the 80s?
in the 80s.
It made it a little more
kind of non-denominational.
Non-denominational, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that change happened then. But we operate in about 50 locations around the city. We have programs that really impact people's lives, and we estimate we touch about 20,000 people per year.
And I hear the 18th largest nonprofit in Michigan?
We are. We're one of the largest nonprofits in the city of Detroit, and our focus is multi-generational and diverse and inclusive. So we try to make sure that we have a program that's going to allow anyone who wants to have a difference or make a change in their lives, that we have the accessibility to be able to do so. So that's why we work with children, we work with teens, we work with adults, and we also work with seniors.
All right, let's kind of break it down a little bit. The largest amount of programs that I guess you have up under your wing are dealing with what kind of sort of from cradle when it starts right as
we
your
literally
babies
start with prenatal services.
Right.
So we start with early childhood, and our largest program is Head Start, which is Birth to Vive, which is early education. The key component of that program is that we do the multi-generational approach. So while we educate the child in the classroom, we have caseworkers that work with the families in general, because we know we can't work with one without the other. And so if you really talk about how to change or revitalize the city of Detroit, you have to make sure that the community and the people that live in the community are best served, and that's one of the best ways that we're able to do so.
Yeah, so you got to get them a healthy start. I know that the state has put more money into Head Start. I think that came up towards the end of the Snyder administration. He was pumping more money into that. Haven't checked recently in terms of the current administration how much more is going into that. But why is it so important that they get that start for what's coming down the line?
Really, 0 to 5 is when a child's brain is developing, when that wiring is taking place. So it's so important that they have a safe, nurturing environment, a stimulating environment that they can come to. So we do curriculum-based preschool. It's not daycare. So every day has a lesson plan, every day has an objective to help with that child's development. But then working with the parents as well, so they understand and can get involved with their child's education. For example, promoting reading is huge, because the more words a child hears, the more their brain develops and the better they are later on. It makes a huge difference.
So would it be safe to say that you're, in addition to working with the children, that you're educating the parents and in some cases re-educating parents?
Absolutely. We're re-educating how they could practice more at home with their child, so that when they do come to school, actually the lesson plans are developed with the parent as well, with the teacher. And so that's one of the great things that they're able to do. So they do work inside of the classroom, and then they take that work home and then make sure that the gains aren't lost. But while we work with the child, the parent works with our caseworkers to ensure any type of goal that they may have. A lot of times when people come to us, they don't know what they don't know. And so it's our job to make sure we instill in them new things that they can actually attain. So it could be something as small as getting a job. It could be something, maybe getting a high school education. We provide those resources to that parent so we can stabilize that entire household.
Yeah, it all goes back to the home.
Yes.
Many of the news stories we do, and we say, how in the world did that happen? Why did that happen in a particular school? Then when you really start going through it, you realize that a lot of it is what the children have or have not been taught, and that manifests itself as they increase in age.
And a lot of what we do, especially with teens and adults, is basic life skills. You know, conflict resolution at work, why it's important to be on time for work or show up for work on a daily basis. Financial planning, financial budgeting for people, helping them raise their credit score and establish a credit score. So just the basic soft skills that people need to succeed in the workplace is where we focus with the adults.
All right, I need to take a break. When we come back, I want you to bring me up to date on HIV positive. I understand that that's growing.
It is.
And that you've got some programs specifically designed to deal with that. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Spotlight, talking to Brad Coulter and Carrie Mitchell of Matrix Human Services. HIV, is that growing in
It
Detroit?
is. It actually is
And are we
growing.
talking about just the city of Detroit or metro area?
It's in the metro area, but it's highly concentrated in Wayne County, which is the city of Detroit. We see that it's going up in the age group of 24 to 29.
Why?
It's because, you know, that age group didn't see the epidemic in the 80s when it was critical and people were dying fastly. And so it's
Right,
just
because many people will say, well, that's something that we really addressed quite a while ago, but it's coming back.
It's coming back. It's just because people just aren't aware of what they can do to just protect themselves. And so that's what we do on the ground fronts. We work to prevent the spread of HIV, and we also have an aftercare program called Ryan White that works with people who are diagnosed with HIV so they can still live healthy, long lives. But what we have to do is make sure the public knows to just know their status. And that's one of the most important things that we do in the community.
So it's easy to get tested and it's easy to get treated?
It is.
Especially if you reach out to organizations like Matrix?
They certainly do. Only thing they have to do is go to our website or give us a call, matrixhumanservices.org, and we'll get you tested. And it's anonymous and no one has to know. The most important thing is for people to know their status.
All right. We know that a lot's going on in downtown and midtown, but the emphasis that I'm hearing from a lot of our leaders is on the neighborhoods, that we aren't going to be a completely whole city again until we do great things in the neighborhoods. And we know a lot is going on. The mayor certainly talked about it. I know that Anika Goss was here not too long ago, and they're talking about how do you grow the middle class and move into all that. You guys are working hard in the neighborhoods too.
Yeah, and the neighborhoods are really the backbone of any city's revenue source because of property taxes and everything. So, I mean, where we're working in providing social services and providing opportunities for people in the neighborhoods, I think is the key to really stabilizing the city and helping bring back the city. You have to work at the neighborhood level to really make this succeed.
And what is it that you're hearing the neighborhoods need the most?
You know, if we could, I always look at it as two different things. Poverty and working poverty is something that's two different. And Matrix works with people that are the working poverty, the people who have, one paycheck away from a crisis situation, those who are making minimum wage but trying to support an entire family. Those are the people that we work with day to day. And when we see those people, we try to understand exactly the situation that they're in at that current moment. And so that's why with our adult services, we're excited that we provide one-on-one financial coaching. We provide them with credit scores. And last year, over 200 people increased their credit scores. And out of those 200 people, 70 of them actually established credit for the first time. That's huge in that particular demographic that we serve.
Giving them that education.
Exactly. It's changing the concept of what they thought that they could attain before, where they can think of home ownership where something that wasn't attainable to them before they actually came to Matrix. And so that's one of the things that we try to provide is making sure they understand that they can live completely different than what they currently live now.
We've talked about the little kids. What about the teenagers, which are key, as well as the seniors? What do they need and what are you providing for them?
So we have a large community center at McNichols and Gratiot, and we do a number of sports activities out of there. We have a children's choir that's going to start operating out of the center next year, as well as mentoring services in the schools. So working with teens, there's a lot of good kids out there that really just need activities so that they can thrive. And we provide a number of those activities both at our community center and in the schools. And then with seniors, we do a number of home visits for seniors to help keep seniors in their house, to give them resources and really even a friendly face to visit. So we work actively with seniors that are in their home.
Brad and Carrie, how taxing is this in terms of dollars and cents on Matrix? Because we know that government's cutting back
Yes.
and a lot of things that they traditionally have been able to provide. And we know that more and more people are coming to our nonprofit organizations saying, fill the gap.
Yes.
But to fill the gap, you need a lot of money.
We
How
do.
stressful is that become?
We do. We do get, funding from the federal government, partially funded, but we really lean on the community, corporate support, foundation support, even individual support. You can imagine how much it takes for us to be able to get a person through an online high school diploma program. That's actually our program that has the largest need. We get the most calls for that program, but we don't have enough to actually fill the demand that we have. So imagine what $500 could do. That's really changing the trajectory of someone in the city of Detroit. If they have their high school diploma, then they can get a livable wage job, and then they don't have to, rely on public assistance or things of that nature. So when we think of that small investment, it definitely goes way further beyond anyone can imagine, and that's why we kind of stress the need of individuals, corporations, foundations, really truly coming to us if they believe in what we do. I know we certainly do, but believing in what we do and to make sure that we can help change the lives of the people we serve.
Brad, I'll give you the last word. I know that you're, in addition to what Carrie has said, you're also seeking grants. You're trying to get government support. You're trying to get individual support. And of course, we're here in December, probably one of the most giving times of year in which people are writing those last checks for the year.
Well, we have our annual appeal going on, but we have a number of events throughout the year where people can get involved. And the way I really look at it, Chuck, is, it does cost money to do the social services up front. But you've got to look at the costs at the back end in our healthcare system and everything else. The social services work. It works.
It's our safety net.
It's our safety net, so you're either going to pay for it up front or you're going to pay for it at the other end with healthcare, incarceration costs, and everything else. And I believe we should be working on it up front. And that's where the money goes.
All right, and once again, the website, if people want to get more information?
MatrixHumanServices.org. If you want to get involved with volunteering or giving, it's all on our website.
All right. Carrie Mitchell,
Thank you.
Brad Coulter, thank you so much for coming in. I asked you outside of the commercial break, so people don't know if you're related to the new county
No
executive.
relation at all.
No relation
No
whatsoever.
relation, although
All
he
right.
did used to be on our board.
All right, so if you're out there wondering, saying, I wonder if they're related, he has them. But I told him he could do DNAancestry.com, and you might find out your cousin some way back when. Want to thank you for joining us. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.